After a disappointing end to the series against the Miami Marlins, the Cubs rebound against the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight. They look forward to take on the Pirates in PNC Park for 3 games with a team in the division that the Cubs have been struggling with so far in 2024. That and more on this edition of the Cubs Baseball Channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Get in that comment section. Let us know how you're feeling about this team as they get ready to take on the Buccos. Here's your invitation to our show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel. Happy Monday. My name is Anthony Pasquale, and you can find me on Twitter at ant_Pasquale3. Thank you guys so much for joining us to talk a little Cubs baseball here on Monday morning. Don't forget, you can find the Cubs Baseball Channel also on Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it, on Instagram and on TikTok. So follow us on there. Follow along with us on there as we continue to post some Cubs content and chop up about our favorite team on all those different platforms. We talked about this yesterday. The Cubs lost to the Marlins 7-2. It was a game that was a little bit closer on paper than this, but the Cubs allowed 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning to give Miami a runaway win. It was a game that the Cubs probably wish they had, as they're trying to stack some sweeps and series wins together to try to make one final push at the playoffs here in 2024. Anytime you lose to a team like the Marlins, it stings. But yesterday, Craig Counsell said, we had a chance to make this series a great one, and we just couldn't finish it. And I think that's pretty emblematic of the way the Cubs season has gone as a whole. But as it stands right now, the Cubs are 1 game below 500. They just can't get over that hump. We've talked about how important it is to keep climbing that ladder to get to 500, right? But the next step is to build over it, and the Cubs still haven't gotten there. Kudos to them for getting to 500. It's a goal that we set, but they got to continue to plow through those goals and build up toward the ceiling. The issue is 500 should never be a goal. It should be an assumed thing. It should be a disaster if you're 500, frankly. But the Cubs just haven't quite been what we expected them to be. But I'm not a cynic. I'm a glass half full type of guy, and the Cubs do have the easiest schedule in the National League remaining. We said this a while ago. The Cubs will not play a team above 500 until September 6th. 18 straight games against teams with a worse record than the Cubs. They're through 9 of those games, and they're 6-3. They've won series against the Blue Jays, the Tigers, and now the Marlins. Now they play the Pirates, the Nationals, and then the Pirates again before taking on the Yankees and the Dodgers. Then you get another wave of bad teams with the Rockies, the Nationals again, and the A's. So it'll be something to keep an eye on. The Cubs have the right schedule to be able to do this. It's just, do they have the right players? And that's what we will have to figure out over the course of the next couple of weeks as they try to make that final push toward the playoffs. But as it stands right now, the Cubs are in 3rd place in the NL Central, 11 games back of the Milwaukee Brewers, and 5.5 games back in the National League wild card race. The percentages are not kind. More than a 97% chance that the Cubs will not make the playoffs this season, as they are a 2.4% chance just to make the playoffs with a 0.4% chance to win the division. But the Cubs do play a baseball game today against those pesky Pittsburgh Pirates at PNC Park. One of the Cubs' Achilles heels, like, you could break it down a bunch of different ways. Obviously, some guys that they're paying a lot of money to be effective in the lineup haven't been. Guys like Dansby Swanson come to mind. Nico Horner hasn't been playing as well as he should be. Seiya Suzuki and Ian Happ have pretty good numbers now, but for a while it was a little murky. Cody Bellinger hasn't lived up to the $30 million a year, to name a few. But you're going to say, oh, the Cubs have blown a ton of games. That's right, they have. They've got like 18 or 19 blown saves on the season. That's unacceptable. So obviously the bullpen has been a major issue as well. But one of the things that has gone unsung as a huge issue for this team, they've been brutal against their own division. The Cubs are 17-26 against an NL Central that was wildly expected by many around the league to be one of the league's worst divisions. Granted, all teams are at or above 500 or near it, which means, like, unlike the divisions like the NL East that they could beat up on the Marlins, or the AL Central they could beat up on the White Sox, there's no team to beat up on in the NL Central, which is why it's a little bit tougher than I think anybody gave it credit for. Even the Pirates or the Reds or the Cubs, Cardinals, Brewers, whoever, they're all good enough to win on any given day. Nobody's going to have over 90 wins in this, or 90 losses, in this division. So it's all a bunch of solid teams. The Cubs have really struggled against them. The Pirates have had their number, the Reds, the Cardinals, the Brewers, the list goes on. Specifically, the Pirates, the Cubs are 3-4 against, with 3 one-run losses. And it's just one of those teams that you expect to beat when you play them. And the Cubs just haven't been able to do it. Steele hasn't looked particularly sharp against them. The Cubs have ran into their best pitchers, and it looks like they're going to again. Mitch Keller is going in the first game. Paul Skeens will throw in the third game, and potentially Jared Jones is coming off the injured list just in time to face the Cubs on Tuesday, which would, of course, line all 3 of those pitchers back up against the Cubs when the series turns back around next week at home at Wrigley Field. But tonight it's going to be Jameson Taillon on the bump as the Cubs take on the Pirates at 5:40 Central Time. Taillon's 8-8 on the year with a 3.77 ERA. He's been on a bit of a decline since the trade deadline. I think a lot of those rumors kind of got to his head, and since then, he just hasn't been particularly sharp. Hopefully, he can right the ship against his former team tonight as the Cubs go up against Mitch Keller, who has been very steady for the Pirates over the last couple of seasons. He's an 11-7 record on the year with a 3.76 ERA. Then tomorrow, Justin Steele on the bump. He's 4-5 on the year with a 3.07 ERA, coming off one of his strongest starts of the season, striking out 10 last time out. He's up against TBD at the moment, but that is the rumored return date for Jared Jones, the star rookie for the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cubs struggled against him earlier on this season. And then everybody's favorite matchup, the precision pitcher that throws a slow fastball against the flame-throwing righty. Kyle Hendricks, who's 3-10 on the year with a 6.33 ERA, is going up against the potential rookie of the year in the National League, Paul Skeens, who is 8-2 on the year with a 2.16 ERA. Probably won't win the Cy Young, but you'd have to imagine if he pitched a full season's worth, he would definitely be getting some consideration for the National League's top pitching award. They said the last time these two faced off, I believe it was in May, that it was the biggest discrepancy between average fastball velocity in MLB history, as Skeens is up near 100 and Hendricks is in 88, 89 range. So almost 12, 13, 14 miles per hour different between these two guys' regular fastballs. So that one will be a fun one to watch. But the matchup tonight is Taillon against Keller. That'll do it for us on the Cubs Baseball channel, guys. Thank you so much for always joining to chop it up about the Chicago Cubs. Don't forget to find us on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. But for now, keep liking and subscribing, getting in those comment sections, and hopefully we'll talk to you guys tomorrow after a Cubs W. Go Cubs.